There are a lot of questions about your property taxes in Charleston County. In this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups, I sit down one-on-one with Charleston County Treasurer Mary Tinkler. And be sure to download the free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores. And listen to this interview later on iHeartRadio. Mary Tinkler, it's so good to see you again.
Good to see you too. Happy New Year.
Likewise. It's a new year around here and it's always busy.
You're right about that.
And I want to take it to abcnews4.com because, last week they published this. Charleston County Treasurer asks for late penalties to be waived on federal worker tax bills. The article goes on to say this. Charleston County Treasurer Mary Tinkler called on the South Carolina General Assembly on Tuesday to pass an emergency bill to give county treasurers authority to waive penalties against federal workers who are unable to pay their annual real property taxes on time due to the government shutdown. Question: how many of those workers right now are needing your help?
It is a good question. We still don't know for sure, but when I made the calls initially to Columbia, to both Representative Stavronakis and to Speaker Lucas, the Friday before the penalties were set to happen, we began to get phone calls that afternoon. So we knew that they were going to start coming. I got one this morning, so they kind of just are trickling in right now. It will depend upon county as to how many, of course, federal employees have been affected by the shutdown. But we are super hopeful that something like this can help just relieve some of the stress and burden of not having that money to pay yet.
And you talk about working the phones. Obviously, you're working with Senator Quintin, right? Campson, that is, on a particular bill. Talk to me more about that.
Sure. So now that it is passed through the House of Representatives, it passed last week unanimously, 109-0. I'm super excited about that. Senator Campson has filed what's known as a companion bill in the Senate, and so it's gone to Finance Committee, and so have a call out to his office to hopefully get that through Senate as quickly as we can as well. Because the quicker that we have a decision and have the ability to tell those who are giving us a call that we have that authority and that their delay will be, they will have a 3-month delay in terms of penalty payments, then I hope that, again, it will relieve some of the stress that they're feeling at this time.
Would that be a one-time opportunity, or is it? Okay.
Yeah. So what Representative Stavronakis and Representative McCoy and a couple others filed on our behalf was a joint resolution, and so it's a temporary change to an existing law. So this is just for this year. It applies just for furloughed employees, federal employees, and also contract workers who contract with the federal government, and the majority of their salary is based on that contract itself. So it is a very limited focus. As you also mentioned, it's real property taxes that this applies to. So that specifically is for land and homes. It does not apply to personal property, motor vehicle taxes, boat taxes, that sort of tax. So it is narrow in scope, and that was, certainly so that we could also get it a little bit more fast-tracked through the General Assembly.
And you also said this quote: "As Charleston County Treasurer, I recognize the struggle that many local federal employees are facing due to the government shutdown, and I reached out to former colleagues in the House of Representatives to help seek relief for those who have been furloughed." What is that struggle in your mind?
Well, the struggle is this. I mean, I'm constantly thinking about how it is that I can help taxpayers here in Charleston County, and how I can make paying taxes easier. And so, to me, they have been caught in this very partisan conversation, and when they've perhaps saved up the money for paying taxes on time, but they're having to make a decision between paying for diapers and groceries and the electric bill. Those are priorities that need to be paid for first, and I recognize that. But by the time that penalties hit and they started to apply on Wednesday of last week, the bill starts to increase. It could go up 15% by the time that all the penalties have set in by mid-March. And so, again, I want to give those who, have to make the decisions between groceries and paying taxes the ability to delay that penalty payment. It does not state that they cannot pay taxes. So they will still have to, of course, pay their real property taxes this year, but having to pay penalties, I want to be able to have the authority to waive that.
You talk about the penalties. How many penalties were, issued after this particular decision happened?
So, always by state law, the first penalty phase begins January 16th.
Okay.
And so that's a 3% penalty, and then it goes up 7% in February, so a total of 10%, and then it goes up 5% more by mid-March. And so ultimately you could, again, look at a total of 15% penalty fee applied to your real property tax bill if it has not been paid on time. So, it's a lot. It can be a lot of money, and I want to make sure that those people who, again, are getting caught up in a partisan divide and conversation are, feel a little bit of relief, at least from this. It's a small part of the equation. I recognize that. But at the end of the day, I do want to do my part as the county treasurer to advocate for taxpayers and again, to help make those paying taxes easier.
How many more questions are you getting right now during the government shutdown, partial government shutdown, that is?
Again, it's sort of trickling in. A lot of people have called in to see if they can have their a little bit of relief and their penalties waived. And again, they have called in for other property taxes besides real property, but this bill is specific to real property taxes.
And obviously, you talk about trying to make tax paying easier for obviously Charleston County residents. I know last week you and obviously Auditor Peter Tinkler held a property tax workshop up in North Charleston. What did you take away from that?
A lot of questions from taxpayers who attended, and that's been the case. So Peter and I have done a good bit of traveling around the county, going to different community meetings, answering questions about whether it be homestead exemption or how the bill is created, or 4% versus 6% assessment ratios. I've been able to bring to the table this year our new advanced tax installment plan, which has been super exciting for Charleston County taxpayers. And so it was a lot of just walking through those things in our tax system. And of course, I'm one part of it, Peter's one part of the tax system, but we want to make sure that we are accessible and that we are there to answer questions, because it is hard to understand sometimes, particularly, if you're dealing with federal and state income taxes and property taxes and sales taxes. There's a variety of different taxes, and so unless you're immersed in it daily like Peter and I are, it can absolutely be a confusing situation to be in, and we're here to help hopefully answer a few questions and make it a little bit clearer. That said, too, that tax seminar we had in our county council chambers, and I think the idea is that Peter and I will continue to have those regularly in council chambers, so that people can certainly, they don't have to have a community meeting that we go to in order to ask the questions, but they can come to us as well, and we're there for them.
How are property taxes calculated in your mind?
Well, a couple different ways. Of course, you're going to have, it starts with the assessor's office, who is going to do the valuation of the property. They apply the 4 and the 6% assessment ratio. It then goes to the auditor's office, and the auditor's office is working closely with municipalities, with school district, with other political subdivisions within the county to determine what the millage may look like. So each of those political subdivisions set what's known as a levy, and so in order to, determine what it is that they will need to cover the budget for that next year and pay for all the services. And so Peter's office, the auditor's office, helps kind of deliver that, and it will apply then to the bill. And so, it's a variety of different things that needs to happen in order to make a bill and generate a bill. And it's confusing. And there are also different things that, Peter, of course, could speak to better, or our assessor could speak to better about how to qualify for different deductions. So, which, of course, we want everybody to be aware of those and take advantage of them if they are there.
Well, as you know, I don't have a house or condo here in Charleston County, and I want to live in Columbia. But what is the average savings option for someone who has property taxes in Charleston County?
The savings options?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I guess it'll depend really on if you are an owner and you occupy your property. That's going to be the largest percent of a deduction off of property. And again, this is not so much in my lane. I'm the treasurer, so it comes. I'm at the end of the train, if you will.
Okay.
But so 4% is a tremendous tax credit given by the state, actually. And so that would be the biggest deduction, to have 4% property tax assessment ratio. And then, of course, if you are 65 years and over, you can apply through the auditor's office for what's known as a homestead exemption.
Okay.
And that will take, and this is, again, statewide, so it will take $50,000 off of the appraised value of the property. So, that does lower the tax bill a little bit. There tax savings wise, those are the options that we have in short, I guess, that's offered to most anyone. And then, again, with this advanced tax installment plan, we're hopeful that will help people, particularly who have fixed incomes, kind of manage that cash flow through the year and not have to pay all at once at the end.
Let me take you downstairs. Well, actually, it's the second floor.
Okay.
Michael Miller. He's the new registered deeds here in Charleston County.
Yep.
Talk to me about how you work with him.
Well, as treasurer, I get to help him collect some of the money that he takes in his office, but also just being down the hallway from him, and one of the new county elected officials on the block here. Michael and I have been able to talk a little bit about kind of what our experiences are coming in, and I'm hoping that I can help shepherd him through this county government. So I'm here to help in any way that I can.
Okay. That's so great to hear. Well, Treasurer Mary Tinkler, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate this.
Thank you, Quintin.
You're welcome.
As always.
Anytime.